Taste of Carnival Tobago Pan event cancelled. Executive Council concerned about airport terminal design. Police recover cars stolen at gunpoint. And in sport, Tobago powerboat stand out at first race of the season. Good evening, I'm Patricia Nicholson-Richards. This is the Tobago Updates News for Wednesday, 9th February 2022. To our top story, disappointment for Tobago steel pan players and pan lovers on this island as the pan event that was scheduled to take place here this month has been cancelled. The event was one of 3 being staged by Pan Tobago. The other 2 are to be held in Trinidad as part of the Taste of Carnival. On the line with us now is the president of Pan Tobago, Beverly Ramsey Moore. Good evening, Mrs. Ramsey Moore. Mrs. Ramsey Moore, can you tell us a bit about the event that you were planning for Tobago, like the date it was scheduled to be held on, and what led to the cancellation?
All right, so we had the event for Tobago on the 20th of February. I would have had an initial discussion with the secretary with respect to using the Shore Park Cultural Complex. And then I would have sent a letter to the secretary so that we could have gotten some kind of formal indication that we could have used the facility. It took some time before we got a response, an official response from the secretary, and we just could not wait anymore because NCC wanted to do their work in terms of advertising and marketing the event. And I definitely had to take a decision after discussing with the Tobago region. But we are still going to find a way to treat with the Tobago bands. And what that would have done is to sort of put a little damper on the spirit of the Tobago players because they were not sure. Because of budgetary constraints, we are not able to take all the bands down to Trinidad, but we will find a way to have some kind of event, maybe Panyard Sensation, having them stay in their yards. I mean, we had such wonderful virtual events last year using the complex. I understand that there are some challenges with the complex and all of that, but we just could not wait any longer. I think we would have sent the information, and because we did not have a quick enough response, we had to make a decision.
But were band members who were, ready to play, were band members ready in terms of vaccination?
Yes, we had some bands who have already started to practice. I visited a couple, for example, I went to My Panyard last night, and they are there, they are ready to jam music. And I understand that other bands have been practicing because I would have been having the conversation with Chairman Salisha James, and they are practicing Steel Explosion, Carib Dixieland, and all those bands, Buccaneers, they are practicing, but we will find a way to work this out. I guess one of the things that I said to the secretary, eventually she called me yesterday and we had the discussion, and I told her that I was a bit disappointed that, after about 2 weeks, I would have sent the letter and I did not have a formal response. And I think I want to make this strong. When I treat with matters pan in Tobago, this is not Beverly Ramsey Moore speaking. This is the president of Pan Tobago, and as such, I want to be afforded that kind of, in terms of communicating with me, that kind of respect. I take my business seriously, and I think I need to have that kind of respect when I send out information. And we had a good conversation yesterday, and she's prepared to work with us for the next event that we are going to be having, hopefully in Tobago in April.
Could you say quickly how many bands were registered to participate?
We had in Tobago, NLCB Buccaneers, NGC Steel Explosion, Carib Dixieland, Cats and Jammers, Alpha Pioneers, Alpha Pan Pioneers, Metro Stars, and Natural Mystic. Those were the bands that have been registered to participate, but because there was this venue to be determined. That is how NCC had it, venue to be determined. And I've been asked the question, Mr. Ramsey, no, are we going to be having this show in Tobago? And of course, I could not give a definite word. And NCC wanted to conclude the calendar of events. And so we've taken the decision not to have that show here in Tobago, but the bands will still be afforded the opportunity to participate in their paniards. And I know that too would have put a little damper, as I indicated, on the spirit of the players, and as though they were not sure, but they're registered, and we will find a way to work it out, because I feel that they too, the bands also must benefit from the revenue that is shared among all steel bands here in Trinidad and Tobago.
All right. Thank you so much, Mrs. Ramsey Moore, for chatting with us. Meantime, Tobago Updates attempted to get a response from the Secretary for Culture, Tasha Burris. However, all calls were unanswered. Calls to Assistant Secretary Megan Morris went unanswered as well. And some of Tobago's Calypsonians will also be afforded the opportunity to showcase their talent during a taste of Carnival. President of the Tobago Unified Calypsonians Association, Ainsley King, told Tobago Updates that there will be a pre-recorded show by members of the Tobago-based Tuco Calypso tent, The Magnificent Glow. The show will be aired as part of the Taste of Carnival 2022 celebration in Trinidad. To some other news now, the THA is tonight noting some concerns with the construction of the new terminal at the A&R Robinson International Airport. The $1.2 billion construction is underway, but the THA has information that there may be some flaws in the design that might affect certification for the operations of the airport. Here are the details.
In recent years, Tobago was unable to accept full flights from some airlines because of international certification issues, according to Secretary of Infrastructure, Quarries and Urban Renewal, Trevor James.
Especially the 777 planes land at Crown Point, is that there's a certain distance from the center line of the runway to where the tail end of the plane is parked.
As a result, the THA was forced to pay millions for the extra seats that could not be filled on these airplanes. The new $1.2 billion terminal is supposed to address problems like this, but Secretary James noted there might be design flaws.
Our information is that there are design elements in the design, especially this road that comes from Friendship, that would impact those distance criteria and will reduce our certification.
There is another problem that might affect certifications and may end up being a safety concern.
We have information that there is a plan to put a new fuel tank east of the buildings that are being constructed. That also would impact the kind of certification we have.
James proposed expanding the current NP compound to facilitate the need for extra storage of fuel.
Solutions of increasing the tank farm where NP's tank farms are, and probably coming across to the tarmac underground as they do in most modern airports to allow for refuel.
The construction of the new terminal is under the control of central government. These concerns were expressed to the Prime Minister and members of Cabinet on Monday with a promise to provide answers in short order if the concerns are valid. Meanwhile, Chief Secretary Fali Augustine is planning to meet with residents who are being displaced for the airport terminal construction to see how the THA can make their move easier. For Tobago Updates, I am Candace Jackson.
The Tobago Tourism Agency Limited will be basing their statistics for arrivals this year on figures from 2020. CEO of TTAL, Louis Lewis, was addressing the Caribbean Tourism Organization's virtual media briefing yesterday when he provided updates on what is happening with tourism in Tobago. In 2019, Tobago experienced an 8.2% increase in international arrivals for the first time in almost a decade. However, that progress was smashed by the COVID-19 pandemic. Only a total of 28,395 international arrivals landed on the destination in 2020. Meanwhile, in 2019 saw a total of 402,871 domestic arrivals by air and C. In 2021, Lewis reported no international arrivals were received.
Which, considering that the borders became open in October, we started to see what I consider as a significant enough turnaround. We had a 14% increase in the domestic arrivals by sea, while we had a 12% decline in arrivals by air. The overall net position was a 2.2% increase.
However, Lewis noted that with the return of at least 2 international flights from the UK and more to come, there will be a rebounding of arrival figures.
My estimate is that by the end of 2022, we should be somewhere within a net position of about 75% of the position for 2019.
All other Caribbean destinations presenting their reports noted that while they were all heavily impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic, they began to welcome international visitors in 2021 and saw the return of multiple airlifts. We take a break now. Stay tuned. We have more news coming up after this.
MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
It's a different type of thing down there. Man, we party till we drop down there. With a lot of pretty girls down there. Down in Tobago.
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
Welcome back. We fix what we can and work on the rest. This was Chief Secretary Farley Augustine's resolve following a meeting with Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley on Monday. The meeting lasted 4 hours and involved Attorney General Faris Alwari, several government ministers and the THE secretaries. Here's reporter Candice Jackson with the details.
Continuing with their campaign mantra, "Let we fix this," Chief Secretary Farley Augustine came out of a meeting with the Prime Minister with some solutions.
Was to simply say, well, okay, good, these are simple issues, let's fix them now. Let's walk away from here with a resolve that we are going to fix these issues now.
Augustine said his team pointed out simple public service issues that were complicated matters, for example, in the fishing industry.
The cabinet members out there seem shocked and alarmed that when someone in Tobago applies to get a boat registered, like a fisherman, it might take you 6 months to get it through the system.
And in agriculture,
that we only have 4 game wardens on the entire island and 1 is close to retirement, or that we have no firearm employers use a certificate, which is where the THA, for example, acquires the firearm and the games wardens and so on are certified to be able to use it.
The solution was to transfer some of those public service duties to the THA.
One of the immediate things was, but why do we need someone in Trinidad to sign off on a registration for a boat? Why can't that just happen in the division? Why can't...
Augustine will now work with his executive council and administrators to implement this and other simple solutions determined at the meeting.
It's unfortunate that nobody brought it up before, or if it was brought up before, they were ignored before, but they are critical things.
Other matters discussed in the meeting were tourism, digital transformation, national security, land title and adjudication issues, direct foreign investment in property, public administration, sport and youth development. For Tobago Updates, I am Candace Jackson.
News that soon fishermen will no longer have to wait upwards of 6 months to get their fisherman's ID is what they've been longing for. Tobago Update spoke to President of the All Tobago Fisherfolk Association, Curtis Douglas, who responded to solutions coming out of Monday's meeting between the Prime Minister and the Chief Secretary.
Not only it is difficult where a man of the space sometimes 6 months to get a fisherman ID. I mean, we must be able to go to, like always, go to the license office and get our fisherman ID immediately or same day. These are the kind of things we want.
Douglas is now looking forward to other fixes that will allow Tobago fishermen the same access to services as their Trinidad counterparts, such as tax rebates on purchased equipment.
We could not even get the VAT rebate in Tobago. We have to go to Trinidad to buy it, to check with fisheries in Trinidad to see how best we could get a VAT rebate, while a Trinidadian just go to the shop, get the VAT rebate, and they're here. We have to.
Meanwhile, ADFA's president is calling on the Chief Secretary to pay attention to a recent agreement signed with Barbados regarding shared fishing space. ADFA is also hoping they can have an audience with the Chief Secretary soon to discuss these and other pertinent issues. Chief Secretary Fali Augustine has begun discussions towards resolving land license issues which have long discouraged foreign-based investment. It was another of the positives coming out of Monday's meeting with the Prime Minister. However, he admitted it would not be an overnight fix.
The London-led THE administration, with the help of central government, implemented a heavily bureaucratic system to control a land grab situation by foreigners. While it did stymie purchase of lands, the process discouraged foreign direct investment altogether. Chief Secretary Fali Augustine assured that a resolution is now underway that will see the THA having more control over who gets to invest in Tobago.
I was very clear that I am not in agreement with that regime being left all up to a minister in Trinidad that determines whether the investment happens or not and where it happens.
Even though this power will be transferred to Tobago, Augustine promised the necessary controls will be implemented.
We have to manage it in a way that it doesn't drive up market prices for land on the island where land resources are scarce.
These controls will also involve Tobagonians.
What parts of the island we decide we want to save, what part of the island has environmentally sensitive areas, what villages we deem to be at risk, what areas we want to preserve and for whatever reason, for farming, for example, because the soil type there might be the best.
When this process is complete, Augustine says they will be able to go back to central government.
But definitely a large part of that solution is moving the decision making for granting of this license away from the central government and to the THA.
The business community in Tobago have long clamored for the land use policy to be addressed. Tobago branch chairman of the TNT Chamber of Industry and Commerce, Diane Haddad, told Tobago Updates that they would rather have the act repealed altogether and immediately. She noted that there have been commitments in the past to address their concerns with no action, while Tobago continues to lose out economically. For Tobago Updates, I am Candace Jackson.
A $37 million loan is available for the Tobago House of Assembly to begin the first phase of the City of Scarborough project. This was announced by Chief Secretary Farley Augustine at today's Post-Executive Council media briefing. He explained that the loan had already been in place for upgrades to Scarborough.
To the Scarborough project, to some urban renewal plans for Scarborough, the details of which we will have to share at a later point.
The new PDP-led administration is following through on their campaign promise to construct a city of Scarborough. The project will fall under the Division of Infrastructure, Quarries and Urban Renewal, headed by Secretary Trevor James. He championed the City of Scarborough plans during the election campaign.
It is in trade and investment, with construction of the port and new berthing facilities, improve aesthetics across Scarborough.
Before any of the $37 million is spent, Secretary James will be heading a series of public consultations online. From those consultations, designs and first phase projects will be determined. James promised to continue public consultations at every stage of the design and construction to ensure proper accountability. The first set of consultations are scheduled for February 23rd, March 2nd and 9th, the details of which can be found on the division's website and on their social media pages. With the sport report,
I want to meet with you to share my personal testimony and other local testimonies. Call me now, Juliet Roberts, at 341-0715. The number again is 341-0715. God bless you.
Good morning. Put a smile on your... MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
welcome back to Tobago Update Sport. The quest for Tobago's top senior footballers under the Trinidad and Tobago Football Federation's National Talent Identification Program continued at the Dwight York Stadium in Bacalet. Here's more.
The first day of Tobago's screening last Sunday attracted some 13 players. Tobago's screening is being facilitated by Coach Terry Williams, Akwo George and Richard Goddard. The final session takes place this Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. In keeping with the recent sports policy announced by the government, where stadia are classified as safe zones, only vaccinated players will be allowed entry. Players are required to have red and white t-shirts along with a red or black shorts. Following the Tobago screenings, 25 players will be shortlisted to continue training in preparation for a zonal competition hosted by the TTFA. National coach Angus Steve said on Monday all 6 zones in TNT will be involved in the tournament, which is expected to feature one round of football. He added, quote, "We are anticipating to start the competition on February 28, but I am having a meeting with the coaches today to ascertain whether they are comfortable with the intended kickoff date. If continued, there are no football leagues in Trinidad and Tobago right now, so we are using this window to give the local players an opportunity to train and build some match fitness before the league commences. We are hoping that the local players will get enough competitive game time before a national team is selected for the CONCACAF Nations League in June," end quote.
Tobago's powerboat Timeless dominated with 4 wins in the Trinidad and Tobago Powerboats Association season's opener last Sunday in Chagaramas. Driver Camion George of Castara and Trottleman Gilson Smith of Palatuve totaled a maximum of 700 points in the sprint and circuit events to take the 60 miles per hour Class G category. Reigning champion Motul Monster finished atop the Class A standings. As the lone competitor in the class, Munster ended with 310 points. The second regatta is scheduled for March 20th, followed by the final 3 on April 24th, June 5th and July 10th, before the annual Great Race on August 20th. The TTPBA's Public Relations Director Roger Bell said while he was disappointed with the small turnout of craft, the overall competitiveness of the races was enjoyable. He said, quote, from what we're hearing from the fan base, they enjoyed it thoroughly, end quote. It was viewed out at sea, of course, because of COVID. Minister of Sport and Community Development Shamfa Kujo believes there is a misconception where the return to play policy is concerned. Appearing on the Tobago Updates morning show on Tuesday, Minister Kujo said the return to play policy also supports unvaccinated persons.
Minister of Sport and Community Development Shamfa Kujo believes that there is a misconception where the return to sport policy is concerned. Appearing on Tobago Updates morning show on Tuesday, Minister Kujo said the return to play policy also supports unvaccinated persons.
There is a misunderstanding, or should I say a misconception of the regulation where people think if you're not vaccinated you can't play. That is not true. Section 4 and 5 of Para 9 speaks to having to get a medical clearance from your doctor. So it's like a letter from your doctor saying you're not vaccinated and why you can't be vaccinated. And it asks for you to take a PCR test within a certain number of days so that you could be clear to play or clear to enter the facility. So I think the regulations make provision for just about everybody so we can have a safe return to play for the different sporting disciplines.
Kujo said although the reception to the return to play policy has been quite good, they continue to meet and discuss the regulations.
The reception has been quite good throughout Trinidad and Tobago. Some people have not properly read the regulations, so we continue to go from station to station and meeting and talking with people and explaining the different what the regulations have to offer. So I'm happy that you have entry A's already doing competition in Trinidad and in Tobago too. You have football and a number of the other sporting disciplines already back out there doing what they love and doing so safely.
According to Kujo, the ministry wanted to push the boundaries a little more to allow for total participation since everyone was getting frustrated.
We wanted to push the boundaries a little more to get more total participation in sport, to encourage athletes also and administrators to get back out there and play and do so safely. So we've developed this whole safe zone policy to allow athletes to get out there and to allow sport development to take place and development through sport.
There's more news coming up after this break. Stay with us. Police say they recovered a vehicle that was stolen at gunpoint on Tuesday evening. According to reports, the taxi driver was making his way along the Mount Irvin Road shortly after 8 p.m. when he picked up a male passenger. After a short while, the man whipped out a gun and informed the driver that it was a holdup. The driver was told to get out of the vehicle and the thief drove off. The Nissan Serena was discovered some hours later abandoned in the Orange Hill area. Police have not yet found the suspect. And that story brings us to the end of our Tobago Updates newscast for this evening. I'm Patricia Nicholson Richards. Thank you for tuning in and do enjoy the rest of your evening.